My name is Malin. Today I wanted to talk about how science has become our new religion. And before I kind of do that, I just wanted to address what's kind of happened or like why I haven't been doing videos. So basically I had this low stim protocol at the start of the year, December, January, where I was like following this kind of strict protocol and I've recorded some videos for it. And then eventually that kind of fizzled out and I tried to maintain the momentum, but I felt like I was forcing myself to do too many things and I wasn't quite adaptable enough. And yeah, basically I kind of like burnt myself out and then tried to go back into work and then just ended up in this kind of dark spiral. And when I'm in that state, I don't want to record videos because I don't want to share my depressive thoughts with other people because I think that's not beneficial at all because it feels logical, like, and I know it's logical in my head, and it's always kind of, there's always kind of like this darkness that I feel kind of maybe just subtly at times, but when I feel really bad, it feels like overwhelming and I struggle to like do anything basically. And yeah, basically it just gets worse because I feel like a loser and then I don't feel like I can do anything and I don't really want to live. I don't see any reason for living. And that's I don't really want to make a video like that whilst I'm in that state as well because it's really defeatist. And although it's true and that's an experience that I go through and I think it's important to share that, I didn't want to like spread that kind of energy around or that kind of suffering. Maybe it would be beneficial to do it again. But then also I've been forced to kind of have a rest because I've broken my wrist, fractured two bones playing soccer. I was I decided that I was going to stay in my hometown and play one more season of soccer before I went and did something. I wasn't quite sure what it would be. And, I was getting really fit. I was starting to play better. Um, but I was working quite a lot. And I guess I was also feeling a little bit burnt out because I felt like I was just going through the motions of things now that I have that reference of, having to force to rest for 2 weeks now, and I've got another like 9 weeks that I've got to be in a cast, which is kind of crazy. But it's also very good because now I've realized like I was just kind of caught in this cycle of doing the same thing of working and yeah, of playing soccer, but then, I felt I had all these obligations to other people and these obligations to external things and I felt like I had to go, like I was compelled to go, even when I didn't feel like it. And sometimes it was good, but sometimes it was bad. And I started smoking again, started to want to drink a bit more, and I was playing a lot of video games. I was spending like hours and hours, basically all of my free time gaming. And that was just a way to cope for me to feel okay because I felt so terrible in my life. I felt like I had all these obligations, and that was the only way I was going to see some achievement or had like I didn't have any energy to do anything else, even though video games takes energy. It's kind of this weird kind of thing where it's a lot easier to like sit down and play a video game than to go out for another run or go out for a kick of soccer. And it was just feeling hard for me because I wasn't feeling the best. And I guess this is where the start of, sorry for that long intro, where the start of science has become our new religion kicks in because we like to say that now we're not religious, that more people than ever are atheist. And I actually don't believe that anymore. Like I used to think that, like, oh, I'm an atheist. But then when I looked at my behavior, I realized that I was worshipping science basically. Like I was listening to all these scientists talk about these facts and these studies and citing these studies and like, oh, so that's what I got to do. Oh, so that's what I got to do. And I kind of got addicted to understanding these kind of things. And sure, it's very beneficial to know like the biology, like, oh, this is how you do muscle hypertrophy compared to strength. This is how you get faster. This is how you get fitter. This is how you feel happier. This is how you set your circadian rhythm by, having bright light in the morning, waking up at the same time. eating 3 hours before bed, etc., etc. And I found those things beneficial, but science doesn't address this main kind of issue that we have. Science fills in the role for new religion. Like, we don't worship God anymore, we worship science, because we think that if something can be proven in a study in a controlled environment, then we can replicate it. And if you look to nature, you realize like that's not really true. You can't force a tree to grow a certain way, or you can't turn a peach tree into like a cherry tree or something. And also having like this external, like this external kind of what's the right word for it? Like this external force that is controlling us, this external kind of rules. We deny our own feelings and our own experiences, which is what it is basically to be human. Like consciousness in humans, our main like superpower is to be conscious and to have experiences and to have feelings. And it's not to be a robot and to like follow these set rules because science says it's the best thing for you. And you often realize like athletes don't eat the healthiest. You know, maybe they don't always get the best sleep, and sometimes they're quite heavy gamers as well. And then you'll also see like, like Michael Jordan's a great example, one of the best basketball players ever. And, he like smoked a cigar after every like game and like had drinks and that kind of stuff. And he didn't always eat the best and he didn't sleep the best because, of course, in America, you've got to do all this travel to go to these games and you're going to lose sleep and not have the best circadian rhythm. But he was just a monster in the basketball world. And so that contradicts science. Like science says like, oh, you've got to be sleeping well to perform at your best. You can't be drinking, you can't be like smoking that because that's going to have an effect on your game. But then we have all these examples of like people that are doing well with these things. And it's just kind of like, well, if science is what we believe in the most, if that's the highest truth, and if that is the truth, then why are all these examples like proving it wrong? And then scientists would say, oh, like they're like a special, outlier or whatever. But then the way that science defends itself like that, like it can only work on certain factors in a controlled environment, and the world is not a controlled environment. Sure, it can be predictable in some ways, but science is as hollow as Christianity is, in my opinion, because maybe that's a big statement. Because Christianity, we say, oh, you can't believe in God now because God isn't real, because we can't prove his existence. Science can't prove its existence, so science is better than Christianity because it can prove things and Christianity doesn't. But then, the reason Christianity kind of died out a little bit, but then people are trying to believe again, is because it was kind of like this dogmatic kind of belief that you have to believe these kind of things. It was kind of like this power dynamic in it as well. But then people kind of felt free because basically they were being lied to that there's this other world, and if they're good, then they'll go to heaven and they'll have a great life, and then everything will be good then. And then, people kind of realize like, oh, we're living now and we're not feeling great. I don't want to follow Christianity anymore. It's not helping us anymore. Like faith isn't doing anything. Like I'm trying to believe in God, but like I'm suffering and all these bad things are happening to me. So then we wanted science to have some sort of sense of control and a bit more autonomy. But then, it's kind of, I feel like it's going to backfire because there's some things that we can't prove. Like there's emotional things that we don't understand. There's experiences that we can't understand in our own minds and in our own lives. And knowing that, lifting weights 4 times a week is going to be beneficial for your health, working out 4 times a week for 1 hour. That doesn't get you to act. That doesn't help you in any way. It's like, oh, that's really good, but like, how do I do that? Because I can do it sometimes, and, like maybe I follow a scientific routine and I can follow it for a while, but then there comes this point where something gets in the way and I'm not able to continue to do these things. And I have to work and have all these other obligations, and I feel so worn down that I can't do these things. And I feel like that's where a lot of masculinity stuff has come in, where it's like, oh, you just got to brunt your way through it and find your own way and get rich online and these kind of things. It's just kind of ironic because that's kind of basically what I want to do, but I'm still trying to find out a more maybe honorable way of doing it, if that makes sense. Because I hate work as well. Like having to, like realizing that all these obligations to external factors, was just draining me. And like, is money worth that? Like, do I want to keep living my life like that? Because I feel like I've wasted so much time just doing that. And as soon as I have a break, then I want to create more videos. Then I want to write more music. Then I want to, go on more walks and like do more things. But I guess also with the science thing is that I've kind of been having this war between myself where I still feel like I want to be following these kind of rules and like feeling better in my health and, eating more consistently and going to sleep consistently and, building muscle, all those kind of things. But then the factor, the factor that's stopping me isn't my knowledge. It's my awareness, maybe. It's my sense of control. I still don't quite understand this, so I'm just trying to explore it in this video. It's kind of weird, the more that I go on, the more I realize like just being comfortable with yourself is one of the main things, and it doesn't really matter if you're the best at something or if you grow the most or if you follow this routine or whatever, because I feel like a lot of that is just social media posturing. Like, I kind of felt like at times I was playing a part doing the low stim protocol. Like, sure, there was parts that I enjoyed to it and I got a lot from it, but would I have done that without the internet? Would I have done that without recording it? I'm not really sure. And, I think that life is to be lived, and then it's just like up to you basically to decide how you do that. Because, Christianity will tell you that you have to live a certain way. And I do think that it's good to have good values and to try and be a good person. But I also feel like there's this sense of individuality where, doing some things may feel better to you in certain ways. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but it's kind of weird how even though I was feeling really bad, I was still able to record music, a lot of music. And I'm going to record an EP and release it sometime. And I've also released 2 songs. So if you do want to listen to that, you can look up my name on like Spotify or whatever. And they're demos, they're not great. The first EP is terrible, from 2021. I was in year 12, and basically the recording guy, the producer that helped me, he was a great guy, really good experience, but the quality was so low, like it's terrible. I don't want to listen to it because it's just out of time, out of tune, but it's also kind of there so then you can see my progress in music. And sometimes I really question myself with music because it's like in these YouTube videos, like, is this creative work doing anything? Like, is consuming this, is listening to this going to benefit anybody? Like, is it going to have an effect? And then it's kind of like, why does it have to have an effect? Why do I feel the need to, have a reason for something for it to have like an impact? Like, why does something have to be good for it to be good? And I guess we're all kind of flawed, we're not really like perfect people. And that's where I think that science kind of gets in the way, because it's trying to be perfect. It's trying to create these perfect routines or whatever. And yeah, I guess it just depends on how you want to live your life and what you want to do. But that's like a really hard thing to do, because we have all these obligations in the world, like to make money, to friends or to family and all these kind of things. And it's really hard to like walk your own way and decide what you want and to even figure out what you want in the first place. Like, I know for me that I don't want to work, but I feel so dumb to like say like, oh, I'm going to stop working. I'm going to try and live off government pay, and I'm just going to try and do some creative work. Like maybe I'll do some more drawing again, because I haven't been drawing in a while, and that kind of fell off. Even though I was enjoying it, I was just kind of got into this rhythm of, I feel like because I was following this course and doing the same thing over and over, and it was just this really long course, just like I was basically just drawing this anatomy of the spines over and over for like a couple weeks, and I just got really sick of that, which makes sense. But when I was enjoying it, I would do like some theory. I'd do like a warm up with gesture, then I'd do like some theory. I'd do like one lesson, and then I'd like draw something that I wanted to draw, which I felt like was a bit more sustainable for me. But it just kind of burnt out, because I was like, why am I doing this anymore? Like nothing really matters to me, which is basically this. I feel like it's a coping mechanism when you don't feel like anything's has meaning. It basically allows you not to do anything, because oh, nothing has meaning, so I can just do whatever the fuck I want. I can just mess up my health. I can eat whatever I want. I can sleep whenever I want. I can watch porn whenever I want. I can, stay up watching a show, binge watching a show. I can start smoking again. I can drink when I want. I can, just whatever you want to fill in there. And I think that comes from self hatred and self judgment. And a lot of these things can be traced back to childhood. Like the experiences that you have as a child really influence how you interact with the world. Like I grew up, I had a pretty good upbringing, but then I also was ignored quite a lot and probably abused quite a bit. And that just, when the people that you love and that you look up to, especially as a kid, because they're all they're like your gods basically. They're like the king and queen of the world. And when they start hurting you and when they start ignoring you, you basically learn to not trust anybody. I learned not to trust people. I learned not to think that I had worth. I just had to keep quiet, keep out of the way basically. And I had to be independent, because I can't rely on other people because they're going to fail me, basically, which has kind of fucked me over a lot, especially in relationships. But I think that's a whole other story. But yeah, I feel like I've basically done like talking about these external factors and how science has kind of become our new religion. I feel like this video is kind of long, but it felt kind of nice to talk about it anyway. And I've still got a lot of things to figure out in my life, I think. I know. I realized that I've been quite timid in a lot of things, because I see so much that I can't be confident in anything. And I think that's kind of messed me up in some ways. Like, with soccer, not having confidence to do things, to lose the ball or to take people on, or to just take my time on the ball and assess the situation, and to like go, like fully commit to something. I think that's because I have no idea what it is, and because, it's like hard to decide those things. But yeah, hopefully this extra time off with my broken wrist, I might make a few more videos and, play around with some stuff. And I've been lucky enough to have 2 people staying over with me, because my family's gone to Africa. And, they've kind of been helping, which I think has helped a lot, just them being there. Because if I was by myself with my broken wrist, I feel like I wouldn't have been doing this video, and I probably would have gotten sick, because I probably wouldn't have ate enough, and I probably wouldn't be sleeping a whole lot, and just like gaming and watching video games and watching movies and stuff all a lot of the time. and just feeling bad, but just like having other people here, and they're like very easy for me to be around, a lot easier than like my family, which is just really draining and stressful because it's so much unnecessary drama. So like the people that you spend your time with have such a massive impact, which I've realized, especially when you're living with them, because like just being around them is like a lot more calming and a lot more wholesome and fulfilling. So anyway, thank you for watching. If you did, this was absolutely terrible video probably, but it was nice to get it out anyway. And I will probably do another video. We'll see, maybe in a couple weeks. But yeah, thank you for watching.